This is a topic that I've talked about on the podcast occasionally and sometimes on stream, but overall I feel the entire lore and situation around Boogie2988 over the last 5 or 6 years has just been incredibly sad. But there was a documentary just released about him, which had Boogie's stamp of approval, his blessing. A documentary filmmaker by the name of Mike Klum spent the better part of 9 months filming Boogie and going over cataloging his life. I've watched a lot of documentaries throughout my 29 years on this space rock, and I feel like until the moon falls out of orbit crashing into the Earth just as Roland Emmerich predicted in the classic Moonfall movie, I feel like this will remain one of the most perplexing documentaries I've ever watched, because I don't know why Boogie would agree to it. It makes him look so bad.
I took women on vacations, and I took them out to fancy dinners, and I took them to Disneyland and shit.
I'm not going to show you all the main components of the documentary, I just want to focus on 2 core ones here. If you're at all interested in the story of Boogie2988, I highly encourage you watch the whole documentary here. It's probably one of the most honest looks at anyone I've ever seen. Boogie is just an open and honest book here that's a little bit hard to read from because it is pretty eye-opening stuff. But anyway, his fall from grace on the internet is an extremely well-cataloged downfall. From the repulsive, awful things he said in the past to his manipulative tendencies and his behavior, all of it has led to Boogie going from a well-respected content creator to basically a joke, or someone that's looked at in disgust for his behavior. So, for those that don't know, Boogie is an OG YouTuber who was absolutely at the top of the game for a long time. He won a fucking award for being a nice guy in the gaming community, basically. They used to call him the Mr. Rogers of the internet. But then, Twitter and Reddit happened, and Boogie had this inability to shut up. He would constantly publicize the most foul opinions that he had about situations. He would always talk about the saddest and most depressing aspects of his life because it felt like he was addicted to being viewed as a victim. It felt like he loved the feeling of people viewing him as pathetic. And it's something I know he's touched on in the past that even has a level of self-awareness where he also recognizes how detrimental it's all been to his career and just downright self-destructive. But he just can't stop himself from just posting on Twitter every single private thing that should never be publicized to strangers, because he seems to just be enamored with that attention that he gets when he is viewed as someone to feel sympathy for at all times. And it's just a really weird and sad set of circumstances. However, after watching the documentary, I'm starting to believe he is just not a good person. I was always under the impression that buried deep down is a caring individual who had a good heart and good intentions and just got a little lost and confused along the way. But after seeing this and all of the worst aspects of his life that he just proudly highlights here, I just really am starting to think he's just not a good guy. So the first thing I want to show you is his addiction to sex workers. He has spent a pretty penny on paying for sex, as well as paying for vacations and stuff for the sex workers to accompany him, this and that. And it also gives an insight into the way he views women, which I think is a pretty repulsive perspective he has on a lot of it, at least from what he describes here. And one thing that becomes instantly recognizable is his sense of entitlement, which becomes a prevalent point throughout this entire documentary, where he believes that because he was a successful YouTuber, anything he wants, he deserves, he should get, he is entitled to it.
It's not a revelation. I liked beautiful women. I like to hang out with beautiful women, fuck beautiful women. We all do. I never got to do that. The women I dated were pretty, sure, but they were Arkansas 8s, not LA 10s. With sugaring, I got to fuck some LA 10s, and I think that's cool. So I deserve to go to Disneyland with a beautiful girl, right? I deserve to go to New York and explore Times Square with a beautiful girl, right? I deserve that, and I want that, and I've never had it.
Why do you deserve that? Because you filmed your 20th Francis chugging Mountain Dew while pooping his pants and putting popcorn in a microwave video? What? It's such a deranged mindset that he believes he is entitled to all of these women wanting to slobber on his meat because he is a famous YouTuber. He shouldn't be settling for an Arkansas 8. No, he deserves the LA 10s. So he pays for sex workers because Boogie deserves that top shelf pussy with the pinky out. And to me, this audacity is alarming. To me, this screams that he only views women as objects to be conquered sexually. He shouldn't be settling for something that's an Arkansas 8. That's beneath him. Have they looked at his subscriber count? No. What he deserves is the LA 10s. So he gets into the sugar baby community.
She's definitely a little thicker than I necessarily would always go for, but there's nothing wrong with that. I'm a 48-year-old man. I never got to fuck a model. This let me fuck a couple of models. Is that wrong?
A very important lesson to learn is nobody is entitled to anything other than a knuckle sandwich if you start calling me short. I'm kidding. You'd probably still beat my ass. But the point is, you don't deserve anything. To speak here like you deserve these women, you are entitled to these women because of your online success is so delusional. And speaking of delusion, him criticizing the lady for being thicker than he would normally go for is just downright ridiculous and absurd. It just really seems like with the way he speaks about women throughout the documentary, he just views them as sexual props for his own pleasure. Really, that's the most important thing when it comes to women for him. He doesn't want to be caught dead with an Arkansas 8. Instead, it's all about the LA 10s, so that way he can fuck them. And that's what he cares about most when it comes to women. That's the impression I get listening to him talk about it. Now, this portion of the video isn't necessarily just focusing on his sex worker spending. It's talking about his reckless spending in general. At the height of Boogie's career, he was making so much money. Tons and tons, oodles of doubloons. And now, fast forward to today, he is fundamentally broke. He doesn't have any money to his name left. So it's going over where all of it went, and a large chunk went to paying for sex workers, as well as like gift cards that he would give them, which is crazy. When they broke down the financial spending, $500 was allocated for gift cards, which is a weird gift to give someone, and like $1,000 for a purse. So I guess he'd give them like a purse with like a GameStop gift card in there, like, hey, go get yourself something nice, toots. Maybe a couple Pokemon card packs, huh? Yeah, maybe a new video game or two. Like the whole thing is just all about his spending habits, which has left him in a financial crisis. All of which is his own fault, which he also recognizes. His entire career's spiral into the shitter is entirely his own fault. From not being able to stop saying the most awful things you can imagine during streams, to not being able to stop himself from posting the most private things about his life online, to not being able to stop himself from spending money on collectibles, a bunch of luxury items, terrible investments in like crypto, which he lost like $600,000 in. All of it is his own fucking fault. And when he talks about himself and like his health struggles and a lot of the other things that are personal to his like day-to-day life, he speaks as though it's already kaput. Andrew really summed it up best. When Boogie talks about himself, he talks about himself as if he's been dead for 30 years. When he speaks, he's speaking as if he's already 6 feet under in the grave, and he's like communicating as a force ghost, like, man, I wish I took better care of my body. That's something he speaks about in the documentary with his girlfriend, who's 29 years younger than him, and he starts to recognize that in 10 years, she's only going to be 30, and he might just be dead because of all the health problems he has from not taking care of himself. And he just speaks as though there's nothing he can do to fix it. He's just like, damn, I should have put more time into fixing my body a long time ago. You know, it's already over. When he can start now. He can still start doing that now. He can still fix his career now, work towards improving his career. But he just doesn't. He refuses to. He just speaks as though he's completely given up, which is another thing that becomes very clear in this documentary, where even though he feels this sense of entitlement, he feels as though he doesn't have to work towards anything. He just deserves all of these women. He deserves all of this money, all because at one point he was a very successful YouTuber. It's a fucking baffling and infuriating mentality to witness in this film. Now, the next thing I want to showcase here, and the last thing that I'm going to focus on in the video, is him getting another job, because YouTube has been collapsing on him, and the documentary filmmaker suggested maybe getting another job. It's also something everyone else in the world has suggested to him, getting a real job. And so he finally decides to go through with it and do like a mock interview to see if maybe he can find a position somewhere in the working world.
This is Dawn.
Dawn, I'm Boogie, or Steve.
Okay, what do you prefer to be called?
Honestly, probably Steve. Let's go with Steve.
Okay, Steve, no problem. Whatever you prefer. And so you are here today because you are seeking employment.
Yeah. I did work at a small gaming store back in 2006, 2007. I am disabled, recognized by the state of Arkansas, but also the United States government. There's that. Now, the downside of that is I am extremely depressed. So there's some mental health issues that we bring to the table. And then physically, I am morbidly obese. I have no references, no work history, and no education. And when you Google my name, you might see rumors that I beat my ex-wife and I'm also a pedophile. Should mention I'm also a felon.
When I first saw this clip, it wasn't in the documentary, it was floated around on Twitter. I thought it was just part of a skit. I was blown away. I was like, damn, Boogie's got some real acting chops now. He's really been hitting the thespian troupe out there training. I was like, damn, kind of a fire, comedy sketch. No, this is real. This is authentic. This is more real than my 3-point jump shot. This is actually how he conducted himself during this interview. Now, of course, this isn't a job interview per se. It's to try and help find him work. But he goes in here and just intentionally sabotages it. This is not as though he's really taking it seriously. He's taking the piss here, if you ask me. And that becomes extremely clear because after the fact, he says that he can't just get a real job or anything. He has 4 million YouTube subscribers. A job is beneath him. So I feel as though he went in here and just intentionally wasted her time and his time. It's in the time of the documentary filmmakers. Because this is just, no one would do this. To go in there and say shit like this, talking about if you Googled his name, you'd find out that he has rumors that he beat his wife or that he's a pedophile. Like, what the fuck?
Okay. What's the nature of your felony?
Aggravated assault.
How old is it?
About 2 years.
Okay. So I think there are some avenues you could explore. I definitely don't think it's impossible, but you have some challenges.
Yeah.
Lots of things in life are about your mindset, and you're using weight and disability. I can't. If that is the attitude that you're going to have when you approach everything, then you can't, and you won't.
I did work in the porn industry for the better part of 7 years, so I mean...
Be real with me. Do you really think it would be a good idea to go to a real interview and reference porn?
It depended on the job, I would think.
I love that she immediately picked up on what everyone else on the internet has also picked up on over the years. She nails it immediately. His mentality is, I can't, just giving up on everything. That is how he's approached everything online, yet still feels a sense of entitlement where he shouldn't need to put a whole lot of effort into YouTube or anything. People should just be giving him money for existing. She picks up on that mindset right away. That's how clearly he wears this on his sleeve. It's his whole personality of just feel sorry for me, and here's the reasons why you should feel sorry for me. And it's super upsetting because it doesn't have to be that way. Again, he's still alive. He can fix things, work towards things, improve things if he wanted to, but he fucking refuses to. And when the lady does say, hey, look, it's not impossible, you do have some challenges, he decides to go even harder to make it even more difficult by saying, oh, I also worked in the porn industry. To which she's dumbfounded, would you really say that during a real interview? Because he's clearly just trying to ruin this. He doesn't want a real working job outside of YouTube or anything. And he makes that super clear with this phone call with this message he leaves the documentary filmmaker.
Violent crimes or sexual crimes have to be...
Hey, Mike. Listen, dude. I know we're making this documentary and everything, and I know you think I need to get a real job, but I just want to let you know I'm not going to. I'm not going to walk into some job when I have 4 million subscribers on YouTube. I'm one of the original YouTubers. What I'm going to do instead is go back to making content.
Go lay down. Go lay down. Go lay down. Good job. Yeah, so I mean, things aren't great. People are still mad at me on YouTube. That
fucking ego is infuriating. One of the OG YouTubers, I can't just get a fucking job, this is ridiculous. 4 million subscribers on YouTube. That's for plebeians, not for Boogie. At one point in this documentary, he mentions that he must have covert narcissism or something, and he absolutely is a narcissist, 100%. I'm not a medical professional or anything, I can't actually diagnose it, but everything that is showcased in this documentary feels like it's narcissistic personality disorder. What's crazy is I haven't even touched on the saddest parts of the documentary. the bits and pieces I've loosely touched on in this video here don't even make up what I believe is the hardest to stomach portions of the documentary. Mike Klum and the team really did an incredible job with this piece. So again, if you're at all interested, check it out. No part of him that seems to actually want to change for the better. He just views it as he's already defeated, so he's just going to continue being self-destructive, I guess. When I don't understand it. There is still so much opportunity and time for him to actually improve his life. And over the last 5 or 6 years, he's talked about that a lot, about how he's going to do this, that, and get better at this and that. And he just doesn't. He just refuses to. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about this because I just finished the documentary. We also talked about it on the podcast. That'll be up on the official YouTube channel sometime in the next couple days. It's just sad. It's just fucking unbelievably sad. Like many others, I was a fan of Boogie2988 years ago. And to see the mask fully come off and you get to actually see who he is as a person is shocking. But anyway, yeah, that's about it. So yeah. Boogie2988 is not only the most manipulative YouTuber this platform's ever seen, but he's also among the stupidest as well. And this is actually one of his go-to bread and butter defense strategies anytime he finds himself in hot water. He'll always play the card of, oh, I'm not an evil person, I'm just a bumbling moron. I got zapped by an idiot beam. Timmy Turner made a wish that I'd be an imbecile and, well, that's out of my control now. I'm not a bad person. I'm just stupid, and you can't be mad at me for that. He uses this signature anime finishing move more often than Goku uses a Kamehameha to finish off an opponent. He is stupid, don't get me wrong, but he is also a bad person. Both of these things are true. And he's using this defense right now with his latest cryptocurrency scam. I wasn't even going to bother making a video talking about this because talking about any of Boogie2988's L's is like talking about taking the trash out. Who gives a fuck? It's garbage, so who cares? Everyone knows it's trash, so why even bother talking about it? Well, in this case, it's especially heinous because he actually did an interview with CoffeeZilla on CoffeeZilla's second channel, Voidzilla, where he was covering Boogie's new crypto scam. And he basically admits to it being a pump and dump, but his defense is that he was too stupid to recognize that. Like, he's too dumb to have known that this was going to be a scam that would hurt his almost non-existent audience. He has a very small pocket of people that still support him left, and he is using them like a fleshlight for a couple of fucking doubloons to pop out the other end as he puts his cock in it. It's disgusting. The Boogie298 fan club has less members than the goddamn Balan Wonderworld Enthusiast Society. Like, there's not many of them left, and now Boogie's running a cryptocurrency scam directly at them, yet denying that he's trying to scam his fans, saying that it's obviously just a joke for his fans to point and laugh at. This is mainly meant to target millionaire crypto bros who can kind of just get fucked. It's also worth mentioning that he was paid $10,000 to promote this fatty token meme coin by a very shady group. But I'm sure that's not important. I'm sure that 10,000 doubloons is all just part of the joke. It's all in good humor at the end of the day. I'm sure that had nothing to do with Boogie's involvement here. Now, I do believe that a lot of people that did put money into this were just hoping that they could dump the bag on even bigger idiots that bought into it trusting Boogie, because there are still people that do have faith in Boogie as a creator and as just a genuine person. I don't know how that still lingers after the documentary that's been dropped about him, where he did his absolute best to make himself look like an insufferable asshole, as well as the numerous other controversies he's found himself in, but there is definitely still a community that rallies behind him. And I have no doubt a lot of people that put money into this were hoping that that community would also put money in so they could dump it onto them. And maybe they were able to, maybe they weren't, but right now it looks like everybody, except for those on the inside, have lost money. You posted a video on your own channel called Fatty, because the name of his token, his scam shitcoin, is called Fatty. He posted the video on his channel. That's for your audience, Boogie. You posted it directly to them. Of course, some of them are going to buy into it because they still have some level of trust in you for whatever delusional reason that might be, but that's definitely broken by now, I imagine. He also just can't dedicate himself to just one excuse here, so he's trying to cover all of his bases so he doesn't look like an evil, manipulative piece of shit here. So he's constantly flip-flopping. So first he was kind of just on the nose about it, like posting tweets saying like he's fucked anyway, so might as well get some money out of it on the way out. You know, hashtag fatty. stuff like that. And then he's like, well, no, this was actually just for the crypto bros, and I'm not going to lose sleep over them losing money. I was upfront about you putting money into this, and you're probably going to lose it. That's the joke. So I don't care if you bought in. And his most outrageous one is where he tries to spin this as an actual useful, not scam service, where it's like, oh, this is actually just a really cheap way for the community to buy into my presence. It's going to be a community hub for all of us to kind of just like hang out. So you're kind of paying just to be a part of the community. He's trying every possible excuse to avoid wrongdoing, even though he's fundamentally admitted that it's a pump and dump scheme that he's behind here, which is a crime. It's illegal. You can't do that. Maybe putting it into Magic the Gathering terms will help you understand it to wrap your fucking noodle around it. You're ignoring cards' mana costs, and in response, everyone hates you. You can't do that, Boogie. I watched a clip of a podcast Boogie's on once, and of course he always rants about how everyone's always out to get him. He's not a bad guy. Everyone else is evil for attacking him. He's not the bad guy. He's not the villain of the story. And my name got brought up. And he then went on to say that I want to see him dead. I'd rather see him buried 6 feet under than see him succeed, or something to that effect. Which is, of course, a load of horseradish, but it's a really interesting take, how Boogie perceives things. And I don't know if he truly believes this, or if it's just a classic Boogie drumming up sympathy kind of thing through lying. But I don't want to see you dead, Boogie, at all. I want to see you stop being a piece of shit scammer who manipulates his audience and constantly lies. That's what I want. That's what the majority of people would like to see. A triumphant story about how you finally took some responsibility for your own actions, grew from them, learned from them, and actually stopped being the asshole that you are. I'd like for you to come forward and stop lying about everything. So like in this situation, just taking it on the chin and openly admitting that you pump and dump scammed your audience. Just say like, hey guys, I fell on difficult financial times and yeah, I took advantage of you. You kind of tiptoed around that in the CoffeeZilla video, but you're not saying it with your whole chest anymore and making up excuses for it, even though it's an inexcusable thing that you've done. You should then refund everyone that lost money in this shitcoin scam that you've pumped. And then you should be working towards actually making things right and stop being the lying, manipulative asshole that you are. I don't want to see you dead, Boogie, and you know that. That's a very gross thing to say, to make that claim, and you know how fucking disgusting that is, which is why you say it. But I want to make it very clear right now. What I want is for you to stop being a lying manipulator. I'm going to play a little bit of his announcement video for this, because he really stands by that it's all just supposed to be a joke for his community, supposed to bring them together to laugh at the parody of Andrew Tate, where he's playing Andrew Cake, and it's all part of the joke. But that excuse doesn't work, Boogie, when you actually launch a shitcoin alongside your satirical take on shitcoins, for your audience to actually lose money on, you dumb buffoon.
Fatty is a community for like-minded individuals that are broken free from the matrix. True happiness comes from a goldfish, from the same woman a couple of nights a month, and the occasional meme coin. Fatty for life.
Fatty for life, yeah. Look at this graph. Looks like every other rug pull shitcoin that ever entered the market. But fatty for life, yeah. Boogie's the champ. He's the king. Who cares how many of his audience lost money on this? He does his absolute best to deny that that's a possibility at all. I'll go ahead and go through his pinned tweet because he's been, of course, on Twitter, as he is known to do, having meltdowns, doing his best to justify indefensible actions that he takes. So here's his big manifesto on the fatty debacle. An iconic Boogie intro here to the tweet. This is just so on brand for him. Classic. In the last few days, I have learned a lot about the internet, myself, and crypto. For those that don't know the Boogie lore, he also lost almost all of his money in crypto well before this. So even knowing just how dangerous it is to buy into this kind of shit, he still promotes it to his audience, even though he himself is the victim of losing tons and tons of money in crypto dog shit. But yeah, it doesn't matter to him. Since it's not him losing money this time, why would he care? My intent by launching a meme coin was to make people laugh and happy. I also wanted to give millionaires who like meme coins a new toy to play with. It doesn't have use, Boogie. The only thing they can play with is watching the graph go down. The only thing they're playing with is your balls as you teabag them with this scam. I also wanted to create a community among those people to interact with as I have through the LolCow Live community. To say I missed the mark is an understatement for sure. But some of the people that are angry for some weird reasons. This never targeted fans, in quotes. In the 90 seconds this was available on websites, a casual fan could not have created a Coinbase account, get verified, figure out how to buy Solana, which is a chore in itself, to then purchase a meme coin. It is literally impossible. That process takes hours, sometimes days. You are so unbelievably wrong, you know that. You are blatantly lying. I also don't understand why it's inconceivable for him to imagine that some of his fans already have Solana and have Coinbase accounts, because a lot of people do. Cryptocurrency isn't some like fringe unheard of thing anymore. It's a very mainstream thing people have been hearing about for fucking years, so a lot of them do have accounts and they could easily buy this in the 90 seconds it was available. This targeted my fans only to have them point and laugh at the absurdity of the character, the video, and the idea that anyone would trust me for crypto advice. If the whole idea behind it, Boogie, was to just provide an entertaining video, why actually launch the shitcoin? Why even give them the opportunity to buy into something that you yourself know is worthless? You're open about how worthless it is and that it's just a waste of money. One of his early tweets is about how you shouldn't invest money in it. That's the way that he's trying to like hand wave his responsibility to his audience here by saying, well, he warned them not to put money into it, so it's kind of their fault. Why even give them the option? If the whole point was just to give them something to laugh at, why give them something to immediately lose money on, Boogie? That's so weird. That doesn't seem like it'd be a good part of the joke, having them lose money too. That seems to get rid of the joke. It's almost as if it wasn't a joke to begin with. And you're using that as a convenient excuse to try and make it seem like it was never the intention to make money off exploiting your fans. I did, however, want to target crypto bros who play with meme coins all day, every day. Looking at the wallets that bought and sold this coin, it's clear that is the only people who played with this coin. Many of them holding tens of millions of Ethereum and Bitcoin, they wouldn't miss the tens of dollars they might have lost, but many more made money than lost, it appears. What a hero. You're such a hero of the people, Boogie. Regardless, I still believe those same crypto guys might find value in this coining community, and I hope they do. For those holding, I plan to keep chatting with you guys and chilling with you for as long as you think it's fun. To the rest of the internet, I am not sorry for getting involved in a dumb shit meme coin. I eject the idea that I was ever scamming fans, and that simply did not happen, period. Look at the wallets for proof of that. I still think a meme coin can be a funny and amusing distraction for people who have far more money than they know what to do with, and I hope we can continue to fuck around with this dumbass coin. That is just chef's kiss standard Boogie meal right there on his Twitter dog shit that he serves on the plate. Just absolute nonsense, lying out of his ass, trying his absolute best to come out of this looking like the good guy. Well, I've learned a lot about myself, the internet, and crypto. Yeah, there were some shortcomings. I missed the mark, but you're actually all wrong because I'm not a bad guy. That was never the intention. Also, those crypto bros that I said can get fucked and I won't lose sleep over, well, actually, I'm hoping they find real value in this because I'm also like a hero to the crypto bros as well as my community because I never targeted my fans. Yeah, I uploaded it to my YouTube channel, but that was only because I wanted them to laugh at the character, not actually put money into it. I mean, that was never part of the plan, but because they put money into it, now there's a great community, which was always the intention the entire time. It's just absolute ramblings of a madman doing his absolute best to try and avoid looking like the bad guy, and in doing so he always looks even more of a bad guy. In the interview he did with CoffeeZilla, he mentions his cancer diagnosis. Boogie has a form of cancer and he is on hard times financially, a lot of it because of his crypto investments, which now he's running one of his own. And he talks about how the money that he got, like the $10,000 to promote this, immediately went into like his medical his medical needs. And he uses this as a shield, where it's like, oh, you know, this is going on, thus it shouldn't be a problem that I scam people, because I need the money. There's plenty of other ways of making money though, Boogie, besides just scamming your audience. Like there was, for actual years, you had so many other opportunities to make money and actually not be a piece of shit. But you have time and time again made the worst possible decisions, not only for yourself, but for those around you, and you have constantly dug yourself deeper and deeper holes. And now you keep posting tweets, deleting tweets, where you're doing this Jekyll and Hyde thing about how, oh, I might be going to jail anyway, so I'm going to take money on the way out. Buy Fatty Coin. And then into this where it's like, actually, I'm such a good guy. Like, we were just making a community and you guys are getting mad for weird reasons. I'm misunderstood. It's crazy because you can actually trace Boogie's spiral to his Twitter activity. The frequency in which he used Twitter directly correlates with the frequency at which he lost subscribers. As he used Twitter more, his YouTube subscribers went down more and more because he kept letting the mask slip at the really awful person behind the facade that he puts on YouTube. He could not stop himself from saying the most revolting things and being the most unlikable asshole through Twitter. He was addicted to it, and he recognized so many times that if he just deleted Twitter, his life, his online career would have been in a much better spot, but he just can't help himself. And and to this day, still can't help himself. Here's his most recent tweet, for example. I learned years ago that if I fart in public, Mudahar will make a video saying I gave people cancer. I'm pretty much free to do whatever I want because even when I try to do something nice, people say I ate a baby or something. In standard Boogie fashion, making himself the victim of everything imaginable. Somehow he's the victim in this pump and dump crypto scam that he's running here because Mudahar made a mean video about him. Oh man, it doesn't matter what I do because people are just going to say that I ate a baby or something. Mudahar is going to insult me no matter what. So what, I did a crypto pump and dump. Doesn't mean Mudahar needs to be nasty and rude about it. I can't even remember the last time Boogie2988 did something genuinely nice without it being something to benefit him personally. I can't think of it. And it's certainly not this crypto scam. There's no way you're going to sit there and actually try and say that this meme shitcoin that you've started is somehow a nice thing that you don't deserve to be getting insulted for. That's absolute lunacy. You yourself have said multiple times how worthless this is and you shouldn't be putting money into it and that you're basically stupid if you do. Like, and you're going to try and sit here and make a claim like, oh, even when I do something nice, they're just going to say I'm bad anyway. You're not doing anything nice. You are literally scamming your audience. No matter how much you want to plug your ears and close your eyes to deny that fact, you are. You have. You are scamming them with this. He also keeps saying that he hasn't sold any of his fatty coin, and it doesn't matter. Even if you really haven't sold any, I don't know why you'd sell now since it's completely flatlining, but even if you haven't sold any, even when it was up, it doesn't change the fact that it's still a pump and dump scam, and someone made a lot of money from this. The people that paid you to promote this in the first place. You did make 10,000 doubloons from the promotion of it. So you did make money from it. Even if it isn't from the direct sale of the coins that you hold, you still made 10 grand, which is a lot more than any one of your fans that bought into this trusting you. But anyway, I don't need to rant any further about this. If you want actual information about the scam, I highly recommend checking out Voidzilla's video or Mudahar's coverage of this. They both did a great job going over everything around it. I'm just here to talk about what a manipulative, stupid asshole Boogie2988 is, and how baffling it is that he keeps finding new ways to devolve even further into degeneracy. It's shocking. That's really about it. So yeah. Yeah, I'm talking about Boogie again, the internet's favorite clown. Everyone is lining up to throw the baseball at the target to dunk this goober into the water tank, and I can't resist. It's actually unbelievable how he continues to find new, deplorable ways to sink deeper into degeneracy and dig himself even deeper holes. I am blown away by his ability to constantly embarrass himself. I don't know what kind of kink this is, but it goes beyond humiliation at this point. So buckle your seatbelt, I'm going to deliver a high-speed Boogie breakdown here for what happened last night. So, Boogie has maintained for a while that he has cancer, and a lot of his reasoning behind his most recent cryptocurrency scam was that he needed the money for his medical treatments with his cancer. And last night, that diagnosis was challenged with people directly confronting about the authenticity of his claims because there were some inconsistencies and some shady things with what Boogie was saying about it. I believe the catalyst behind this whole conversation was Destiny, who spearheaded the questions that he had about Boogie's diagnosis, and it led to, directly talking with him about it, which then led to more and more people coming in to talk to Boogie about it. And for those that don't know, Boogie2988 is a pathological liar. He cannot help himself. Just like a pile of dog shit can't help but smell like poop, Boogie can't help but lie. Even about the most trivial things ever. He used to tell fibs about games and what games he was playing and finishing and why he needed to buy games to review them only to never review the games. I'm surprised he didn't start weighing in on the Elden Ring DLC being too hard, saying some shit like, oh, well, yeah, so the Elden Ring DLC was quite simple for me, really. I kind of first tried every single boss. My favorite boss was Rudonius of the Hidden Leaf Village, obviously. He just lies, and he can't help but continue to lie anytime he sees an opportunity for it, especially if it could potentially lead to some level of sympathy. Oh, yes, I've experienced racism. Me, Boogie2988, as you know, I'm a full-blooded Atlantean, and I recall when Plato came to our hidden continent and sunk it himself because he didn't like the color of our skin. He is just a liar, is the point I'm trying to make here. An outrageous one at that. So, with some of the things he was saying, people started to question whether or not he really did have cancer. So, they confronted him directly on a podcast. And throughout the 3 or so hours that he was on the podcast there, he chose the worst possible dialogue options every single time. And it eventually culminated with him getting naked.
So your shred of privacy is this, but not being naked on film, not talking about fucking whores,
Yeah, I'll
not
get
talking
naked
about
right
being
now.
bankrupt.
I'll get naked right
Do
now.
it. Take it
I'll
off.
get naked
Let's
right
do
now.
it. Go for it.
Talk about
Let's
that.
do it.
A pretty interesting strategy here to get nude, just strip down to your birthday suit. Boogie's playing chess, the rest of us are playing checkers. Lying about having cancer takes a very special kind of scumbag. It's not unheard of on the internet, there's plenty of famous cases of people doing that, but to come in and question Boogie on it, like, you've got to have your ducks in a row. And Boogie, when defending himself, refused to show even a single shred of evidence to push back against the claims, and the claims had more evidence than Boogie did about his diagnosis. And it eventually reached the point where people were begging him to just show, like, a fucking single molecule that would somehow lend any credence to Boogie's claims, and he just refused. There was I think it was an $80,000 bounty. Like, multiple YouTubers came in and offered thousands upon thousands of dollars to Boogie, up to $80,000, to just show a piece of his medical record to a trusted third party, so that way they could verify it, that he really does have cancer like he claims he does, and he refused. Which is very weird, considering Boogie just scammed his audience for $10,000 talking about how desperate he was for money because of his medical bills and everything. So he'll scam his audience for $10,000, but he won't just briefly show a little piece of his medical record here for 80 grand, 80,000 clams? That just doesn't add up. Because he's talking about how it's like the last bastion of privacy he has, which doesn't make any sense because Boogie has never given a fuck about privacy. Every single aspect of his life, he has pushed into the public eye that people have to just like have their fucking retinas burned out against their will because Boogie is shoving every aspect of his personal life down their throat. Yet this is the one thing he wants privacy on, even though he himself was the first one to ever talk about it. It just doesn't make sense. So it's definitely not looking good for Boogie after this. He's since deactivated his Twitter account and everything, which probably is only temporary. He's addicted to Twitter. It's like a heroin addict. Like, I imagine he's going to go back to the needle here to Twitter. But for now, it's looking like his ham got steamed on this podcast. It doesn't look good here. Of course, it hasn't been 100% definitively proven that he's lying about his diagnosis or anything like that, but the whole situation around it is very weird for sure. And I just want to show you a little bit from it. Now, a buddy of mine, whom I'm sure all of you have heard me talk about in the past, Jackson Clark, that's a name that lives in infamy in the mind of Boogie. Jackson Clark is Boogie's boogeyman. He mentioned Jackson so many times unprompted in this podcast that the other hosts were left stunned, wondering who the fuck is Jackson? Because Jackson has, for a long time now, been pushing back against a lot of what Boogie has said and done to his audience. And Jackson, a while back, did talk about the diagnosis on Twitter, and it has, I guess, weighed heavy on the psyche of Boogie.
Yeah,
I'm never showing any of these motherfuckers my medical paper. Go fuck yourself. I said that 2 years ago, and I'm staying by it now. Destiny, Jackson Clark, Keemstar, you can see it when I fucking die. It's my fucking goddamn medical record.
I don't know why Jackson Clark was on the tip of his tongue there in the middle of this panel, but wow. That's so big. Hold on, I gotta send that to Jackson. Jackson's gonna have a big old smile and a big old wet spot in his trousers for it. That's big. It was Destiny who put up 5K and Muda put up 50K. Oh, wow. Yeah, it's not like Boogie to turn down free money like that. He just scammed his audience for $10,000, which in this podcast he openly admits to. I think it was who was it? Like, I think it was Nicholas Diorio. Nicholas Diorio at the very end came in and he's like, "What do you mean morals? You scammed your audience for 10K." And Boogie goes, "Yeah, but this is different." He's like, "This is two separate things."
Because I'm insisting on it because I'm hoping
the microphone.
No, wait. Why would you have to insist on a biopsy if you can confirm?
But this is basically the whole podcast where they are picking apart Boogie's story and just begging and even trying to offer him tons of money to prove that he actually has what he says he has. Where does he mention more Jackson, though?
goddamn medical records. And I don't want one of you motherfuckers feeling sorry for me. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, you do.
Okay?
As
You
Mike
hate
just
me
got
as much
quiet.
as you fucking want. But I'm taking one goddamn thing with me. And this is a decision I made when Jackson Clark demanded this shit 2 fucking years ago. And it's
Turn
a
your mic
decision
up.
I'm fucking sticking to here 2 years
I don't know who
later.
Jackson Clark is.
I don't even know if I'm getting...
That's incredible! Jackson Clark, he did it again! First and last name! He's doing it! He's doing it! That's so huge. And now he looks like a pioneer for being the first to request the Panama Papers on Boogie here. And then 2:43 on the dot. Jackson mentioned again. This is like a Where's Waldo game. Alright, so 2:43 mentioned again.
Getting his name right. It's fucking Moistcritical's butt buddy. I don't fucking know.
Why do you keep
They do a
calling him
podcast
Jackson
together.
Clark?
I don't
Wait, he's getting name dropped again!
know his real name. What is it?
What do you mean you don't know his real name? You've said it 4 times. Jackson Clark. You think that's an alias? A first and last name alias? His real name's fucking Steve Cheeseburger? And why you pretend you don't know his real name? You tweet about him every now and then after blocking him so he can't fight back. That's his pseudonym. He's using it like J.K. Rowling.
It's the
I'm gonna let
law
him have
too,
the
right?
win.
I'd
I'm gonna let him
break
have the
some
win.
type of law.
I'm gonna let him
HIPAA
have
laws,
the win.
yeah.
I'm gonna let him have the win.
What's the reasoning behind that? Why are you letting him have the win?
Because as I said to Jackson Clark 2 years ago, or at least said about
Jackson
it,
Clark.
yeah, I am not sharing my medical records. I'm not sharing this with the internet. This is for me. I'm good.
How much money did Jackson Clark get you to fucking say his name?
Yeah, I know, right?
On this stream?
I don't know.
Great
That's-
advertising, yeah.
I mean, it's good. It's good
Jackson
for
Clark.
Penguinz0, Jackson Clark, Penguinz0, Jackson Clark. Check it out. Buy Fattycoin. There.
That's honestly, put that on the back of the DVD box. That is so fucking flames. Hold on, I'm telling Jackson timestamps. Get Jackson on stream. He's sleeping right now. It's Australia. He's not up yet. He actually hates you too. He does. He absolutely does. 100%. But he hates everyone that doesn't immediately fall in line and agree with him. What's crazy is he doesn't hate Keemstar, who literally invited him over to his house on the 4th of July just to throw ice cubes at him and bully him. But he hates everybody else. Literally everybody else. It's so odd. It's super weird. I don't know why he hates me and Jackson so much more than everyone else. I genuinely do not. I have talked about Boogie twice. Once with his crypto scam and once with the documentary that dropped where he talked about how his life fell apart from buying hookers and everything and still had a crazy ego about how he deserves to fuck tens. And all kinds of heinous shit. Those are the only 2 times I talked about him. And comparatively to everyone else, I don't even think I was that mean. I gave him legitimate advice about maybe instead of scamming your audience, you should just keep making YouTube videos. He averages 20k views per video. If you just make a video a day at that average, he would be able to support himself with at least $10,000 a month. Easy. Bare minimum. Like, I feel like, honestly, it was pretty reasonable. But maybe he doesn't like to hear that. He'd rather people throw ice cubes at him in person. I don't know. I really don't know. You guys did make fun of him in the documentary for like an entire podcast episode. Yeah, constructively. Like, if you're going through all these health problems, maybe don't start every day with a Mountain Dew after you take off your fucking CPAP machine. Like, that's constructive. I think. Like, instead of a Mountain Dew, anything else. And maybe just doing fucking acid in the middle of the forest with a fucking shaman is not going to be the therapist you need. I know, yeah, I know. They brought in everyone for this one. It's certainly not looking like Boogie was telling the truth. Shockingly. But who knows? Maybe for some reason he really is refusing like $80,000 in order to keep this last bastion of privacy. Which isn't really private considering he was the one that talked about it first. Watched all 4 hours. He doesn't hate you and Jackson. He thinks Jackson Clark is your real name and Charles White is one of your internet aliases. No, that's not true. He knows we're separate people. Now you're just making shit up, but I love that. I love that idea. Jackson Clark is my Australian alter. So a couple of quick things. I have made 2 videos on Boogie ever, but he has become a pretty common topic on the podcast where we talk about some of his more recent shenanigans. So maybe that's where he's hearing a lot of it from, because in videos it's only been 2 from me, and on the podcast it's not just me, it's everyone kind of just going over like the Boogie recap on what he's doing right now and why he probably shouldn't be doing what he's doing right now and how he can do things that are better than that. Like maybe that's where he's seeing a lot of it from, where he gets this idea that I'm always, shitting on him or whatever. And the other thing I actually want to dive into a little bit is where I briefly mentioned that if Boogie would just make a video a day, or at least increase the frequency in which he creates content, he would be able to support himself. And he wouldn't need to resort to scams or lies or these elaborate ruses to try and squeeze milk from a stone here and shake down the last remaining audience he has for their lunch money. He could just support himself through what he used to do, which was make content. Yes, he lost most of his audience once they started to take a peek behind the mask, the facade that he put up, then they noticed that he's like the goddamn Babadook, right? He's a monster. But his channel was so big that even losing the majority of his audience still leaves him with a very sizable audience left. That's bigger than like 99% of other channels on the platform already. And averaging between 20 to 30,000 views per video is sustainable. I have another channel, and I've talked about it a couple of times, called Skill Check. And this is for all of the nerdy shit that I love to do. It's pretty niche. So Dungeons and Dragons and trading card games. Right now, mainly Magic the Gathering Commander, but we're branching into more Yu-Gi-Oh! And One Piece TCG content. I have a huge passion for this shit. And the average views on the videos for that channel is right around 30 to 40,000-ish. Sometimes they pop off like the Commander game with Wubby or the Shot Caller Commander game, but the average is between like 30 to 40,000 across the whole channel. And I'm going to just give you a peek behind the old analytics here. This is what the channel generates. Off 2.1 million views per month, it makes over $7,000 per month. Now let's compare that to Boogie's channel. Boogie, even when not creating content, his channel basically just gathers fucking cobwebs because he doesn't want to put any work in and make stuff. Even with that in mind, his channel still makes almost 1 million views per month. Now imagine if he would just post more frequently. He could easily fucking support himself through AdSense. He could. No matter what lie he tries to feed you about how that's not possible, no one wants to watch him, his average says otherwise. He just doesn't want to do it. He's looking for the easier paydays, like taking $10,000 up front to pump a fucking crypto scam. If it is true that Boogie is lying about all of this, that'll just be yet another unbelievably low thing that Boogie has done throughout his career. And he has made a career out of doing some of the lowest shit the platform's ever seen. So again, it hasn't been 100% confirmed that he's lied about this. So maybe he is telling the truth. Maybe he's got stick it to the man-neosis. Like, it's just all a very odd set of circumstances with the way all of this is unfolding here. And I just had to talk about it a little bit because, man, I mean, Jackson Clark, he got mentioned so many times here, and this is just such a fucking weird story. That's really about it. See ya. As I was rendering the video here, some new lore just dropped, a little update to this case. Keemstar made a tweet kind of talking about some things behind the scenes. Now, he's like the Boogie whisperer. Boogie tells him everything, I guess. So, I think probably best to wait for Boogie to confirm all of this, but I'll at least put this here for the sake of covering everything that's come out here. According to Keem's tweet, Boogie went on steroids that could cause cancer in the blood, and then 2 years ago, after he lost his money in crypto, went to the doctor, said he had high red blood cells, indicating he may have it. And before he got any confirmation, he made a YouTube video announcing it, and then for 2 years has been telling people he has it to use it for sympathy, and he never actually got confirmation, but now apparently he's scheduled to go see whether or not he has it. So that's the most recent update there, and it doesn't come directly from Boogie, so I guess we might have to wait to see what he says about it, even though Boogie himself isn't really a reliable narrator since he lies about everything ever. But again, there is no 100% confirmation on whether or not he's lying about this or anything, but it is certainly very peculiar. Very, very weird. That's about it. See ya.